As far as the Arizona law, the first responsibility of the federal government is to protect America and to protect American lives, liberty, and property. Failing that, and we have at the federal level we've failed to do this for decades. It then becomes the state's responsibility to protect their citizens. And Arizona passed a very reasonable law, but what this really highlights is we need to secure our borders firm and tight. And we have to make sure that those who cross into our country illegally are sent home. It's as simple as that. It creates such a cost to our economy at so many different levels, and a country that can't protect its sovereignty is not going to protect its future. So this is something we need to do. The Arizona law is a very reasonable law. I have read this law, and I think it was built to withstand a federal challenge. But I think we've got a broader issue. In so many areas of our country, we're finding our federal government in conflict with the states. Not only do we have a situation in Arizona, but we have a situation in Alabama where some of the politicians there are saying, why should we be providing our driver's license and our driver's test in 14 languages, including Farsi? How can this make sense? How can somebody who doesn't understand English be dependent upon to be able to obey road signs? And the government the federal government is threatening to withhold highway funds. This makes no sense at all. Some of the Gulf states are trying to take measures to protect themselves in the wake of this oil spill, and the federal government is standing in the way of this. This is just not right. You know, our federal government
Jim,
has
that is time.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Bill, you have 1 minute to answer the question.
I think that Robert Frost, a New Hampshire poet, said it best. Good fences make good neighbors. I think that the Arizona bill highlights a problem, which is a failure of Washington to deal with a very straightforward issue, illegal immigration, people pouring over our borders, and we can't deal with it. Washington, for whatever reason, is unwilling to deal with it. I say it's very simple. I say that we build a secure wall that secures our borders from illegal immigrants and stop this illegal immigration that's going on. Second, I think that we should say that the people who are here in this country, all of us, do one thing: learn to speak English and make it our national language, for a whole bunch of reasons. And second, I think we must recognize, I am the proud son of immigrants, and I say this in all sincerity. There should be one allegiance to one flag, to one country, this country, America. So I think the answer is some common sense. I think it's to stop the illegal immigrants coming into our country by securing our borders, and to require the people who are here to speak English and to adhere to our laws and our regulations. I'm not for amnesty, and I'm not for the kinds of situations and politicizing of these issues and the failures that are going on in Washington. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Kelly, you have 1 minute.
Unlike our Attorney General of the United States and our Director of Homeland Security, I have read the Arizona bill. And I can tell you it's double-spaced, about 20 pages, single-spaced, about 10 pages. And I approve of it. I agree with it. And I'll tell you, they have a serious public safety issue in Arizona. They are facing a situation where they had a deputy sheriff that was almost murdered, a rancher who was killed on his own property, and then his dog was shot. They have the second highest rate of kidnappings in the world. And we have a fundamental duty when it comes to national security, and that's to keep people safe. And we have a failure of leadership in Washington. We have to secure our borders as a matter of public safety. We have to secure our borders because with people coming over and not illegally, it's also putting a burden on our healthcare system and our education system. We need to enforce our existing immigration laws that aren't being forced right now. And absolutely, English should be the language of our country. But this is an issue where the federal government has to lead. And I'll tell you that if I have the privilege of serving, it will be one of the first issues that I take up after balancing our budget.
Thank you, Kelly. Ovid, 1 minute.
I think what we're seeing happening in America is a civics lesson that's long overdue. And that civics lesson is this. The national government was formed when the states, the 13 colonies at the time, agreed to delegate certain enumerated powers to the federal government. And contrary to something your question suggested, the Constitution under the 10th Amendment doesn't allow a state to supersede federal law. What the 10th Amendment says is that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. The states have inherent right and responsibility and duties independent of the federal government. And we're reclaiming a states' rights concept in America right now. Now, the federal government has been delegated the responsibility of national security, including border security. Absent its failure to act, the states have the responsibility and duty to act to protect their citizens, and no president or Congress should undermine the state when it does that, not when the president of Mexico is visiting.